All right, welcome back to the Dr. Jimbo Love Show featuring Seth Matthew with guest Patrick the Picker. Patrick is starting to become a regular here. We may end up having to move him into Seth's position. Seth's just too busy.
Let's kick him out. Get him out.
So we want to welcome you guys. Thanks for all the viewership. LinkedIn has been wonderful. Rumble and Getter. Facebook. Didn't post you on Facebook. I gave you kind of a link to kind of find us on YouTube. But go to the Dr. Jimbo Love Show featuring Seth Matthew on your YouTube channel, and you can find all of our previous shows and all the kind of good stuff. So, how are you today?
After last week, better. Hopefully after this week, even better.
Excellent. Excellent. He's got his Giants gear on. You know, the Giants are playing a pretty big ball game this afternoon. Actually, this evening.
I saw I got a little love from some of your East Coast people for wearing the big blue last week. So hopefully big blue for two. I hate Phillies, so there's that.
Absolutely. And tell us a little bit now. This is a little controversy that happened at the hotel. We got a direct report from some of the Giants players. What did they tell you?
It's been posted everywhere that the pipes for the water were broken, so no showers, no nothing. Per my last sources, everything has been fixed, but it's not very cold in Philly. I think it's going to be 43, 45 for the high. So Philly up to Philly things, you know how it is.
No, exactly.
I hate them.
But we got a good show for you today. We're going to start out with some hockey. We're going to talk about 4 featured games. Some big things happened with St. Cloud State, also with Cornell University. I don't want to be spoiler here, but we'll tell you a little bit about their games and who they ended up beating. Also, too, I'll go in and we'll talk a little bit about the pairwise ranking, which is the new type of poll. And what I didn't realize about pairwise is it's a computer-generated poll. So whenever the people play on Friday night, the poll adjusts for either a win or a loss. So when you go and pull the poll up on Saturday, you can see a shift of different rankings and teams. I'm not used to that. Used to be able to see exactly where they were all week long and not having to change. So we've seen some big movement in the top 5, and we'll talk about that in just a second.
We'll kind of review a few of the lines from last week from the NFL. We were kind of pre-gaming and talking about it. So you're going to look at it. If you look at my picks last week, 2 and 4, awful. It sounds awful, and I'm not very proud of that. But talk a little bit about the in-game and kind of what I do versus kind of the information I'm giving you and kind of applying that to what you're going to do, as well as, it's in all ranks, college, NFL, whatever you're betting, because the in-game has become a big part of the betting world. So we'll get into that, and
and it's such a cool thing with these betting apps. You don't have to go and talk to a bookie, and a bookie couldn't take an in-game bet back then ever, because how are you going to adjust the odds? So the in-game betting is really cool. We have a bartender here. His name is Colt. He did an in-game bet when the Jaguars were down 24-0. It was just a money line bet. He threw 100 at it and ended up winning $3,000. So, folks, there's money involved in there. People that bet, the team that's getting crushed, who wasn't supposed to get crushed, can turn around and really end up banking, and Colt did. So
it's changed the whole betting world, especially if you got to be in a wagering state. So we're in Colorado, which is one of the first to ever do it. But a phone, a computer, an iPad, whatever you're on, now it can be very addictive, so you have to control yourself on what you're doing at that point, because you can literally make a bet almost any second of the day.
Exactly.
But you don't have to go to your bookie at the beginning odds, or Vegas moved on from beginning odds to halftime odds. But when you are comfortable and you see a line you like now, you're going to miss out on the opportunities. Had you, say you love a team that's big underdog, 20, 30 points, whether it be basketball, something like that, and it's close, you're going to lose on those odds, obviously, if you don't bet them early on. But there is some value in there, and you're almost betting computer models is pretty much, that's what you're betting against.
Yeah, you're betting against kind of the algorithm or whatever they have set up, and
this is the tech world we live in, and it has made its way all the way into this. But let's get going kind of where we were.
Yeah. No, we're going to talk a little bit of college basketball. We're not going to get into in-depth and really break down a lot of games, although we'll look and see how the Gonzaga team has been living kind of on borrowed time, and it kind of caught up and bit them in the rear end. We'll talk a little bit about that. other than that, we're going to go in and we're going to talk about the 4 different NFL games that are on the slate for today and tomorrow. Remember, there's 2 today. One starts at 2:30 Mountain Standard Time. That's 4:30 if you're on the East Coast. And then the Giants game begins at 6. Is it 6:15 or 6:30?
Yeah, it's scheduled 6:15. Everything will be a few
6:15.
minutes behind for the playoffs. Give a little extra time for the other games to finish and the anthem and all the antics and all that. But yeah, so closer to 8:30 Eastern start, closer to 6:30 here. If they do start on time, 6:15 local here in Denver.
Yeah, and then tomorrow's games, folks, Mountain Standard, it's 1 o'clock game, and then there's a 4:30 game. Again, add 2 hours to that if you're on the East Coast. Lastly, we will get into a little bit about the women's section today. We've got 2 ladies that we are featuring. One is a Stanford basketball player who actually blocked a shot while hanging onto her sneaker and then stood over her, and we'll tell a little bit about what happened with that. And then also, too, there's this big controversy over Olivia Dunn. She's that LSU gymnast that everybody's talking about. She has become a Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram star, and she's being paid name, image, and likeness money that is making a lot of other people jealous in the college world. But hey, more power to her, and she seems like a very nice lady who absolutely is a marketing genius. I mean, who else can get followers that much? I mean, it helps that she's a really beautiful package. So, all right, well, let's go back, and Seth was going to come up here and talk a little bit of hockey because he's so excited about St. Cloud
win.
State. That's our last featured game for this afternoon. But let's jump in to right here. I've got, see if I can do this right. Right here, Cornell hockey. And my buddy
Camper this morning, he walked in like Ric Flair.
Well, I was excited.
Walked in like Ric Flair, threw some chops out. He's a happy camper.
Speaking of Ric Flair, I told Patrick this last weekend, back in the day, back in 1993 when I was just a young buck, I was waiting tables down in Orlando, Florida, and Ric Flair came in with his big entourage party. These guys were huge. And his wife, and I was waiting on their table, and the wife pulled me aside, and she goes, "Hey, it's Rick's birthday today. We're going to play a joke on him. I want you to pretend that you think he's Hulk Hogan because he hates Hulk Hogan." So for the entire time, I had to keep teasing him and tell him, say, "You know, you look kind of familiar. I think, oh, you must be that guy with all the little Hulksters." And I watched his face, and his wife was over behind him going, "Don't worry, you know, I got you covered. He's not going to get you. We've got a lot of other big guys at the table." But make a long story short,
He didn't throw you a Ric Flair shot?
to make a long story short, I basically pulled it off for the entire time, and then at the end, she ended up tipping me like $300. But we ended up becoming friends and had a really
Which wife was this?
whatever one he was married
You gotta watch the
back in
documentary
93.
because there's a few of them.
So, but he was a nice guy. Ric Flair is an absolute consummate gentleman. He ended up, I got off my shift and he was still there. I came over and joined the party, and they bought me some drinks, and I took some pictures and stuff like that with them.
WWE guy, very iconic figure. Hell of a documentary. I mean, hell of a life. I don't know how he's still alive, but
Oh yeah.
very interesting. When you get to meet somebody in that nature, changes the business.
Oh, he's just a professional, very nice guy, very gentle man. When I met him, other than the fact that he wanted to kill me a couple, half hour before that.
Tell the folks about the big win yesterday. Let's
Big
get
win,
shots.
big
Let's get the
win.
scoop.
So Cornell comes in the game pairwise ranked 14th, and Quinnipiac was ranked 2nd at the time. So Cornell starts off the first period. They score a goal right off the bat. They had 9 shots to Quinnipiac's 4 shots. Second period, Cornell scores again, 7 shots versus 11 shots for Quinnipiac. Ian Shane, by the way, is the goalie for Cornell, and he has just did an exceptional job. Period 3, Cornell ends up picking up 2 goals. That makes a total 4. And again, Quinnipiac scores none with 6 shots on goal. We end up with a 4-0 win, and one of the biggest wins for Cornell hockey probably in the last 5 to 7 years.
Where was the game?
It was in Ithaca, New York at Lina Arena. So,
Home on home?
It's kind of weird. Cornell plays Quinnipiac, and then Princeton played Colgate. So now Quinnipiac will play Colgate.
So
and
neutral site.
Princeton, no. They're going to play. Quinnipiac's going to Colgate to play Colgate.
This game, though.
This game was in Ithaca.
So is that
But they played already in Quinnipiac.
Okay.
Already. So the East Coast is a little different than how the HCNC does it. Out here, like today, when we talk about DU playing St. Cloud State, they play a home-home matchup. Okay, and it's because of the distances of travel. On the East Coast, they'll pick a team, and sometimes they'll play like Clarkson, and then they'll play Potsdam, or they'll play. They split the teams up, so it's a round robin of 4 teams. So anyway, Cornell wins this big game 4-zip. The 24 total shots on goal for Cornell. Quinnipiac 21. So, but the score just dominated. Ian Shane again. Hats off to you, Cornell's goalie. Just played above his head. Just really, really did a good job.
Big win.
Big win. It may help Cornell get an at-large bid if they're not able to beat Harvard for the Ivy Championship. So it takes a lot of pressure off of Cornell. Again, Scott Howard is the general manager. He called me last night, and I could just tell he was walking 3 feet off the ground. He was so excited. All right, let's move on to the next one. We've got Michigan at Minnesota. Minnesota was ranked number 1. They still are, folks. Michigan was ranked 8th at the time. Minnesota, this game, talk about a shootout. The first 2 periods, you have Minnesota with 15 shots on goal and 13 shots, and then you have Michigan with 11 shots and 13 shots on goal, respectively. And you have a total of 5 goals scored between the 2 periods. 3 by Michigan and 2 by Minnesota. Now, we move into the 3rd period, and something happened with the goalie for Minnesota because Michigan scores 6 goals in the 3rd period. Now, folks, one of those has to be an empty netter, but maybe not, because, again, it was a pretty close game. And I'm sorry, it's not 6 goals. It was 6 shots on goal, 0. So we have Minnesota with 3. They go into the overtime. They're tied at 3, and Minnesota scores. There wasn't a whole lot of shots on goal in the overtime, only 6 shots total. So sorry about that mess up. Let's talk a little bit about your Notre Dame.
My brother texted me this morning, happy camper. My brother's a big college hockey guy. I should be more into it, just timetables, and Notre Dame used to be a lot on NBC Sports, which is essentially folded, and a lot of their, side broadcast goes on Peacock, which is where you can watch a lot of the WWE programming, which is another one of those pay-for-apps. Happy camper today, though, beating Penn State. Penn State, one of those teams we were talking the last few weeks, has been one of those
2-1
made themselves relevant. Notre Dame's been kind of there, but a big win. We talked about it earlier, though. Looks like the Irish got way outshot.
Yeah, we'll go through all the stats here. So Notre Dame won 2-1. Okay, Penn State was ranked 4th pairwise before the game started. So this is a huge win for Notre Dame. It brings them up, and we're going to go through. Matter of fact, I forgot. I kind of skipped the pairwise ranking. We're going to talk about that just as soon as we're done with the DU St. Cloud game. But Notre Dame, just a little spoiler here, moved up to 13th. And it has been a long time since Notre Dame has been that highly ranked in college hockey. The game kind of broke down like this. Penn State came out just firing like crazy. They had 20 shots on goal in the first period, ended up picking up 1 goal. Notre Dame had 6 shots on goal and did not score. Notre Dame added a goal in the second period with 9 shots on goal. Penn State continued the barrage on the goalie with 15 shots on goal, did not score a goal. Third period, Notre Dame scores their second goal on 9 shots. Penn State comes out firing 18 shots on goal, no goals. So Notre Dame's goalie played absolutely phenomenal. Wait till you hear these shot totals. Penn State with 53 overall shots, Notre Dame 24. And of course, we said earlier, it's 2-1. Notre Dame pulls it out.
And that's why you see Penn State's up here. Notre Dame's been here all year. That's too many shots. Usually, hockey can be unforgiving, especially in the college level at that. We talked a little bit about one of the games last week, same thing. I have to go. They got the replays, I'm pretty sure, on Peacock. After we get through the heart attack tonight, I might have to turn it over there and check it out. But the shot total, that's not a winning formula. Happy to come with the win. Not as happy as he was with the win, but very happy with the win. Not a winning formula though. So
no, and hats off to Penn State. They must have outskated, because whenever you have shots on goal with that bigger discrepancy, it's almost 2-1.
It's over.
It's over 2-1. Yeah, because you figure 5 over
53 to 24. If my father was still coaching hockey and we got outshot 53 to 24, I'm pretty sure there wouldn't even be any sticks, and I would just be bag skating around the ice all day. That's terrible.
Yep. So interesting. We'll see what happens. They square off again tonight, so we'll see what happens. We'll be watching closely. We'll report on that next week. All right. Bringing you to our hometown DU, who are playing at St. Cloud State. Now, understand something. St. Cloud State's ice is Olympic size, so it's a bigger rink. The angles change, okay? It's a huge advantage for St. Cloud State. We're not making excuses for DU, because DU lost 7-3.
I believe that's what, wasn't CC used to play, because at the World Arena down in Colorado Springs, it used to be
Olympic
Arena is a little larger. You
Yes.
see figure skating there. They do Disney on Ice there, things like that. It's just I guess I don't have the exact numbers on, but the rink is bigger.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
In terms of
It's wider and it's longer. It's a little bit longer too. But the width of the rink is where the big difference are. So as you're coming in, your angles will change. It's the same thing as we used to see.
And this is St. Cloud State's home barn.
St. Cloud State is Olympic.
That's some good info.
Well, it's the Herb Brooks Arena. And you guys remember Herb Brooks. He was the Olympic coach of 1988. Yep.
88.
No, 1980.
That was 88, the year I was born. Miracle on Ice.
I lived it. Remember, you weren't born yet.
Against the Russians.
1980, we beat the Russians, and then we turned around and beat Finland for the gold medal at Lake Placid. So that's okay, Patrick. You're a young whippersnapper, and it's hard to remember. I don't remember things from 1961 that well when I was born in '67.
Fact checking, yeah. He's right.
He can fact check me all he wants.
Thought it was 88. You don't give up on his college hockey.
All right.
He's on point today.
Let's do this. Let's go and look
Do
at
the
pairwise.
rankings. Let you do that. Before you do that, we just got to notice two things. Gophers trending in a very good direction. And ever since Colorado DU called themselves the state of hockey, they haven't been playing so well.
No.
You lost to St. Cloud. Good team, so I'm not going to say it's a bad loss. They're in a little funk. But a couple weeks back, you split against Alaska. And then you kill the bad Miami of Ohio team.
Yep.
But the Gophers kind of trending up, DU trending down. Does that mean a whole lot? Not right now. It's kind of middle of the season, getting moving. But yeah, tell them what you got on the new rankings.
Well, before we do that, let's talk a little bit about where we are. We are at Brothers Bar and Grill in the shops of Northfield. Patrick and I, you can see us behind here. We are up in the mezzanine section, which is it's kind of the upper area. Matter of fact, there's a private party up here tonight. Folks, come down anytime you want and check us out. I am drinking today, and one of the things that we probably should do is highlight some of our beer selections, because the beer here is fantastic. This is a local beer. It's made by Station 26. It is called a Tangerine Cream. And all I can tell you, folks, is it takes Blue Moon to another level. So Blue Moon, you add like an orange or something to accentuate the flavor. Well, I can't add a tangerine to this, but it is absolutely fantastic. It's locally brewed right actually across our parking lot is where the brewery is.
Across the highway.
And the highway too. I know it's
Less
a little
than
ways
a mile,
away.
half a mile tops.
Exactly. We can almost smell it being made. Patrick, what are you drinking over there?
I drink Ultras and Jameson. That's kind of my deal these days. I switch it up here and there. Ultras and Jameson is kind of where I go. But yes, huge beer. If you're a draft beer selection, if you look down, they have everything from head to toe, IPAs to locals to your basic Ultra, Bud Light, Coors Light.
Yep.
You're not going to get shorted on options here.
No,
And,
we have so many draft beers. I can't even tell you how many they have on tap.
hard liquor, wine, and Sundays. You need to know the special around here are bottomless mimosas. During football, it's usually till the afternoon Sunday, but it's usually about 2:30. So if you get here, you got bottomless mimosas 11 to 2:30.
Very good. Now, Patrick, if you're drinking ultra and bottomless mimosas, are you? Because I was going to have to question your manhood here.
I wouldn't be here doing the show with you if that was the case.
All right, let's get back to the pairwise rankings. And these rankings, again, are brand new as of last night. They actually came in. Quinnipiac is... Oh, wait a minute. Why would they have Quinnipiac as number 1 still? Uh-oh. Hang on here, folks. I got the wrong one up here. Pairwise rankings. Oh, here it is. Okay, it just adjusted. We've got Minnesota Golden Gophers. Sorry, my TV or my computer goes.
Had to give him a deep breath. You see him get a little.
Well, I was reading from the January 16th, which is not right. Although today is
Trying to give you guys more live information. So before more than ever, our phones are here with us.
We're trying.
You can see the local times. We're trying to give you local or the exact odds.
Yep.
A little bit more live and up-to-date information versus
Yeah.
more of our notebooks. We're trying to get a
Exactly.
little more trendy like everything else.
There you go. All right, let's start again. Minnesota Golden Gophers are number 1. Number 2 is St. Cloud State, who moved up from yesterday. They were 5th. Quinnipiac drops to 3. Penn State is still at 4. Denver, it drops to 5. Boston University 6. Ohio State 7. Michigan 7. Ohio State and Michigan are tied at 7. Harvard is 9. Western Michigan 10. Cornell moves up from 14 with that big win against Quinnipiac to 11. Michigan Tech is 11 as well. Notre Dame 13, as we said earlier. Michigan State 14, Minnesota State 15. Merrimack out of Massachusetts is on a kind of a downward trend. They are at 16, tied with UConn, who's also 16. Providence is 18th, RIT 19th, and your boy Alaska, because you're getting ready to go up there next weekend.
Yeah,
ranked 20th.
One of my side missions, they don't know it yet, is to go check out the arena. I'll be in Anchorage. We're going to be there Thursday. It looks like actually Wednesday now. So I'm trying to put a little side time. I think one guy will definitely be interested to go check out their barn. Last time I was there, it was the furthest thing from it. Who was number 6 again?
Number 6 is Boston University, who beat Cornell last weekend.
I see the top 4. I think it's really going to come down to the national champion, Minnesota St. Cloud. I see DU. I see those as Quinnipiac will give them some love. I see those 3, Quinnipiac and Penn State. So I see those 3, Minnesota St. Cloud and DU as the top 3.
Okay.
I see Quinnipiac, Penn State. Then you throw in BU, Ohio State, Michigan. I see that as the second tier. And then once we get down closer to the Harvard, Western Michigan, Cornell, Michigan Tech, and Notre Dame and whatnot, I think that's the third tier.
Yeah.
I think unless we see some differences going into the Frozen Four as we're kind of getting closer, those are my 3 tiers. So good, or the best, good, and then just a little under that.
Yeah. And for those of you out there that wonder how they pick the final 16 teams for the Frozen Four tournament, basically there are 10 that are automatic bids. And those are different conferences across the country that you automatically win your conference you're in. Now, unlike college basketball, which has a lot of at-large bids, with hockey you only have 6 at-large bids.
Yeah, they're not doing the field of 68.
No. So just as I was saying earlier, if Cornell is unable to win the Ivy League, because Harvard's a good team, say Harvard wins, a win like this against Quinnipiac, a quality opponent, goes a real long way for them getting an at-large bid. Now remember, if you don't get in that 16, you have no chance to make it to the Frozen Four or national championship.
It's hard. I still think there's more tiers. It's still hard, just with the way the format is. But yeah, got to get in the 16 to get it moving.
All right.
College basketball.
We're going to talk a little bit about college basketball.
Moving along today. We got
Again,
big day.
Yeah, we're not getting really in depth in the college basketball yet, folks, so just be patient.
Warming up.
As the conferences and the conference schedules get, a little bit along, we will get more and more in depth. And then, of course, during championship week, or whatever they call it, Champions Week, or whatever they changed it, we will really get into depth, and we'll get you guys ready for the NCAA tournament.
And this is the time where you really start kind of getting, you're doing in division. It's a good time to start betting. So my buddy, we'll call him Kane Shaw III. I call him Triple Sticks. We also call him Hun. Got a lot of different names for him. He's the original Hun. He's got some picks for you today. I got 3 from him, 1 lock from him, and I'm going to give you 2 from the Mountain West. Kind of get you going on the betting format after we go through some of the highlighted games.
And that's
today.
what we love about Patrick. There's not a better betting guru to talk to at Brothers Bar, and he's one of the best.
We start warming you guys up for the tournament, which is the best betting thing probably ever in the world.
Yep. So let's do this first. Let's talk about the top 25 here real quick. And I'm sorry, I should have had this queued up for us already. Top 25.
Yeah, they haven't really moved that much.
It really hasn't changed that much. I mean, Houston's
Purdue's
still number 1.
still up there with Houston.
Yep. So you got Houston number 1, Kansas number 2, Purdue number 3. That hasn't changed since last week.
Correct.
Alabama 4, UCLA 5. Gonzaga is at 6, but we're going to talk a little bit about a loss they had, which may drop them down. They've been living pretty dangerously. They're up 2 spots from 8, but I think we're going to see them drop down with their loss. They played against an in-conference rival in the WCC, Loyola Marymount.
Loyola?
A lot of people. Yeah, Loyola Marymount. If you guys remember back in the early 90s, Hank Gathers was there with Bo Kimball, and unfortunately Hank Gathers had a heart attack and passed away on the floor, even though he was, and Bo Kimball, of course, you remember, he was the guy who shot a foul shot left-handed in Hank's honor. Those
so
of you
did
guys
Shaquille O'Neal at one time in his career.
Like he should be shooting any foul shot without his dominant hand, because he can't hit the broadside of a bar. We're not going to get into that. Okay.
We're giggly today.
Number 7, Texas. Number 8, Xavier. Tennessee comes in at number 9. Virginia 10. So ACC. We haven't seen an ACC team. You know, there's very few of them in the top 25. So mark that on your calendar. Virginia comes in at 10. Arizona 11. Ohio State, or Iowa State. I kept calling Iowa State Ohio State last weekend, so I apologize. I definitely apologize
to
my boss, Ted, because he is a big Iowa State graduate and a connoisseur of their basketball team.
He got slapped on the wrist this week.
Yeah, they're up 2 spots to 12. Kansas State 13, TCU 14. Bunch of those, Big 12 teams right there, hanging tight.
Top 25 and beyond is going to be in it this tournament, and the tournament is it's getting more wild every year. Just expect it.
UConn 15, Auburn 16, Miami of Florida is 17. College of Charleston, folks. Okay, talk about a small school out of Charleston. They had a big win against Monmouth, New Jersey, and my high school friend King Rice is the coach there. He played for University of North Carolina back in the day from 87 to 91. Best friend was Rick Fox.
What's your mascot?
The Tar Heels. It's a sheep. Oh, Monmouth. Oh, I don't know what Monmouth's.
They're the Cougars.
Well, that's Charleston.
That's College of Charleston. That's what you were looking for.
Okay.
College of Charleston.
Oh, I thought you were talking about.
You gotta know. You're never gonna understand the. So when they do the pick'ems every CBS, they always give the mascot.
Do they?
How many people on here knew what it was? I did not know what it was.
No. And I don't even know what Monmouth is either. So, but anyways, yes, King Rice is a local upstate New York kid who has done extremely well. Has been at Monmouth for a number of years.
I threw him for a twirl there. He was like, ooh.
Yeah, they weren't good enough to get past College of Charleston. Clemson, another ACC school, comes in at 19, and we're not going to go much further. We'll stop at 20th with Marquette.
That's as far as I need to go.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk during the week here, and a lot of you can go to your Google and see all this stuff, but we'll just talk real quickly. Number 3, Purdue beat Minnesota 61-39. Again, we were talking about College of Charleston. They were 18th at the time. They played at Monmouth, and they won 69-55. Loyola Marymount beats the Zags, who are number 6, 68-67. Again, you've seen a ton of games. We talked about it last week. They had a 1-point ball game win over BYU last weekend. They've been living dangerously. The game at halftime was 32-33. The Zags were up, and then the Zags just weren't able to convert at the end. Timmy had 17, Hickman 12. Strothers, the guy who hit the winning shot against BYU, only had 6 points. They need better guard play if they're going to go further in the NCAA tournament.
I know we've been talking about him for years. You know, they were kind of Mr. Irrelevant, trying to push through, and you're still going to see him in the end. Good coach. He's been there for 100
Mark
years.
Few, yep.
He's getting the recruits in. He's gotten the international recruits in. I just don't see them that good. They haven't been covering a lot of spreads. And to me, when you look at the spread, people go, well, what spreads have to do with winning games? It doesn't really have to, but it is a sign of a good team. They haven't covered a lot of spreads. I am not buying Gonzaga. He thinks they can get a little better, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah,
I'm not buying them this year.
Well, I don't know if they're going to make it to the finals or whatever, but maybe a Sweet 16 or something like that, which is a great season.
Yeah, they're easily good enough for that.
So Matt out there, my coworker Matt is a huge Zags fan. He calls me up yesterday and says, yeah, the Zags did not do well. They didn't perform well. I wasn't able to see the game. Did you see it at all?
I did not.
No, I didn't either.
I'm busy yesterday. I had a couple busy days. Yep. I got these guys to worry about today, and then I was able to get a few hours of sleep and get here today. So
we're at 31. Okay. Time-wise, we're gonna speed up a little bit and just talk about
a lot of NFL talk.
Yes, we do. Arizona played UCLA 88-66, and then UCLA beat Arizona State. Bobby Hurley 74-62.
What's your opinions on Bobby Hurley?
Bobby Hurley, I was never a fan of Bobby Hurley as a player. He played for Duke. He was part of that Christian McCaffrey crowd that won 2 back-to-back championships. Really should have only won 1. I think I'm still upset about UNLV. And this is way before your time. Patrick was 2 years old. In 1991, they ended up winning. But no, Bobby Hurley was just such a whiner. He's still a whiner. If you watch him on the sideline, he whines just like he did when he was a point guard to all the officials. But he's a good coach, and I always kind of pay attention when Arizona State's playing. We're going to skip 2 of the featured games, but I just want to bring them to your attention. Number 14 TCU plays against number 2 Kansas today, and then number 5 UCLA will be playing against Arizona. And Patrick has said something about the betting.
We're just going to we're going to keep it short and sweet. His name's Caden Shaw the third. We call him Triple Sixer Hun. In our betting, his forte really should stick to college basketball because that's where he's at. He loves Arizona money line today. It was 1.5. It went off about 1.5, 0. So keep that in mind on the money line. TCU he got early on +7. They were doing really well. We saw also Oklahoma State -1, Virginia Tech +2. I'm going to give you 2 of mine. I'm a Mountain West guy just because of my Lobos. I'm going to give you 2 from the Mountain West here today. Colorado State's rolling. They're on the road at Wyoming. I will give you that as a freebie today, and I will also throw out one other game. San Diego State, very good ball club, going to play Air Force Colorado Springs. Air Force +9. The Colorado State line was 1.5. It's now down to 1, so people are kind of buying into that a little bit. So -1 Colorado State. Air Force +9 today. It's just the interdivision things, and then one thing I had a family that were going down to Colorado Springs for a wedding, which is where they play, so kind of taking a little bit of that, not so much the numbers, but that's just a little bit of a heart bet. 9 points in conference. Those are my 2 Mountain West. Those are the 4 from Caden Shaw, so we'll start throwing him some shout outs on the cast.
Right on. Thank you very much. I love it. That's
short
why we
sweet.
That's
short
why we
sweet
have
as best
Patrick.
as we can without describing it.
That's why we got him here. He knows.
Those are all today, by the way. All games today.
You ready?
Yep.
You ready for the NFL?
I've been ready all week. I was ready since I left this place last week. I didn't throw any birds. We had some very nice Minnesota fans in here. Some heavily good banter, but...
there was a rumor around here that you were flipping some Minnesota fan off across the bar in good nature.
No. Flipping people off will be today between Philly and New York. Minnesota and New York folks always get along. It was a big crowd in here, loud and fun. A lot of guys are at this bar and restaurant are originally from the north, so a lot of Vikings.
Yes, there were a lot of
Skull fans. But yes, I was obviously going the other direction. I stand out around these parts with all this gear.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go first?
We love it. Let's start with the 2:30 game for today. Jaguars at Kansas City. Jaguars 10-8. Kansas City, of course, is 14-3. They had a bye last week, had a chance to kind of just rest. The Jags last week, by the way, when they came back and won, I didn't realize this.
Record setting.
It was a record setting. It was 27-point comeback for a victory, and that is the third largest comeback in NFL history of postseason playoff, which is pretty cool.
Chargers, bad.
As far as the matchup with the Kansas City and the Jaguars, earlier this season, KC beat the Jags by 10 points. The Jags in that game were +3 in the turnover battle and still lost. You don't normally see a team that is +3 in a turnover lose by 10 points. Jags must score points or KC will kill them, is what some of the top analysts are saying. The line opened at -8. The over and under was 52.5. Patrick, tell us a little bit more about that.
8.5 by late last night, 9. This morning, 9.5. And all the favorites actually jumped up a half pretty much in all the games across the board. Short breakdown. Andy Reid off the bye. Everybody loves Andy Reid off the bye. 30-6, I think it is, in terms of the wins, not the point spreads, but 30-6 off the bye as a coach. Fresh team. Them and the Eagles will be the two freshest teams to come out in terms of they got the extra week off. What do I like? I don't think this is the Chiefs team we've seen of old. You don't have Tyreek Hill. I don't think the defense is even as good, especially on the back end. I think their front end is very good. Try to keep it short and sweet with y'all. I like the 9.5. It may even be 10 if people get crazy. I do think that if you're going to bet something on the Chiefs side, the -5.5 in the first half isn't bad. The one thing the Jags cannot do, if they go down 24-0, they will be done. They're not coming back again. This isn't going to be the miracle story. But they've been playing good ball. Hell of a comeback last week. I'm not sure why they got down as far as they did, and shame on the Chargers. We'll go a little bit at the very end about our win-losses. I was 2-4 last week, but I do a lot of in-games. So
that's what we're doing right now.
So let's very quickly do that. I was 2-4 last week.
But we're going to talk. Let's talk about what you picked on the show last week.
Yes,
if you can remember.
Yeah. Well, so I took originally the Chargers.
Well, let's start with the Seattle 49er game because that was the first game.
I had all the losers -2. I had Seahawks plus the points. Dr. Jimbo had the Niners.
I had the Niners. The game was 41-23. Of course, 49ers won, just to kind of refresh your memory.
Other game.
Let's go to the Chargers-Jaguars. 30-31. The Jaguars came back with the 27-point comeback. What did you have in that game?
I had Chargers.
I did too.
And then I'll tell you later. We'll talk about the in-game. I had the in-game actually on the Jackson.
I lost this game. You lost the first game. We're just talking about in between us, just for the heck of it.
2 losses so far. I was 2-4.
Yep. And then we've got the Dolphins versus the Bills. 34-31. Bills win. I picked the Bills to win by like 4 touchdowns. So I lose that game because it was a plus what? 13.5? Yes.
I was one of the idiots that picked the Dolphins. Looks good in the end.
But you won. So that's good.
Yes.
Yep. We're talking about, not your in-game. Now you can talk a little bit about your in-game
We'll
stuff
try to get real
to.
quick after we finish this.
Okay. Then we had the Giants versus the Vikings. We both went with the Giants.
My love of the day.
Yep, and it was 31-24 Giants win. The Ravens-Bengals, 24-17. The Bengals, I picked the Bengals.
I also did. I in-game the Bengals, though, and I got it way less. So I was a winner on the in-game, loser on the original picks I gave you.
Okay. And then lastly, of course, was the Cowboys-Buccaneers, 31-24. Tom Brady just looked like a lost puppy out there. I said never bet against Tom Brady. He really did not look good last week.
Tampa wasn't a good team all year. That was more of a heart bet, I think, than anything else. They got their asses kicked.
They were so mean too to Tom Brady. I saw a meme on Instagram, Facebook that was basically, was this worth Tom Brady losing his family over.
Before we get into these, we'll try to make this as short and sweet. Again, I'm an in-game guy. I have feelers, right? So I told everybody Chargers, but you can almost see the meltdown going. Colt down there got him 24-0. He took Chargers when they were down money line.
Yep.
You're talking plus 3,000. You threw 100, you won $3,000. I got him in game at 11.5. Go to the Giant game. I hate betting my own team. Vikings get the early score. That line moves immediately to 6.5. I jump on it. Giants win by 7.
Right.
So this is kind of how I'll give you my feels. When you're doing the pre-lines, if you don't have time to do the in-game or you just like to whatever, I usually say go with your gut. So my lock last week was the Giants. I'll try to give you another one here, even though I don't really love any of the games today. You go with your lock, you don't spread. If you like to spread, then you're just going to have to bet kind of even keel, 10, 50, 20, whatever you can afford, and then see how the results are. Some people like to do that through the NFL. So there's different ways just to gauge. So while I was 2-4 with you guys, I took home about $1,600 to $2,200 last week. So this is kind of how you have to gauge based off what you're betting.
Yep. That's why Patrick's paying for the tab today.
Yes. I'm everybody in this bar thinks I'm money. Last week I was money. This week I could be fraud, but we'll try. Next game.
Excellent. Let's move on and talk. And also, one last thing about the betting is that if those of you that live in the states where they allow the payoffs, a good way to hedge a bet that you had is to look at the in-game, because you may be able to hedge enough to be able to offset whatever your initial bet is, or you may be able to just wipe that bet all the way off the books and end up making some money, if you see something, a trend or something where you think they're going to come back. Myself, I watched the game up till halftime of the Zags game, and I just didn't think that Zags had any chance, or not the Zags, Jacksonville. I didn't think Jacksonville had any chance of coming back. That was a pretty ballsy bet by Colt, I have to say.
Great bet down there. I got him late. So when I saw, that's the thing, you could see the momentum shifting if you've ever played the sport. Some of you guys have played football. I played baseball and hockey growing up. But if you watch it enough or you get that feel, that's when you can get, and if you like the odds, you can get them at a good price sometimes.
Right.
It's turned into stock market 2.0. I know a lot of people who are business majors, who are masters in this stuff, and a lot of attention has turned over into this industry. So I'm not going to say it's a foolproof. Nothing in life was foolproof, including your stocks, as you can tell the last 3 years, as we're all taking a hit. But it is business models along with algorithms. And I got people who play fantasy sports. I know, call him Bill Gates Jr. I was just at a cocktail party with last week, and he has made, and we're not kidding here, hundreds of thousands, even into the millions of dollars with his algorithms, which are his secret, which he should keep.
Sure.
But if you can beat the house, and you have these, and they're starting to, so Vegas is having to adjust, and in-game is just one of the million things you can put your hard-earned money on. But as always, do it responsibly.
All right, let's move on to your Giants versus Eagles. This is the first playoff win for the Giants since 2011, last week was. The Giants are playing with a ton of confidence. Jones really did well last week. He threw for over 300 yards. He also had 78 yards rushing. A lot of his stuff was, he got himself out of a lot of tough situations.
He looked like the pick that they thought he was going to be.
Exactly. Saquon Barkley, 53 yards, but he had 2 touchdowns. And then Hodgins, he had 105.
You can't name any of their wide receivers. Slayton's the only guy who's been around. Then most of the wide receiver core, who you may have known before, has been hurt out for the year.
Right.
So these guys you're seeing, you're probably not used to hearing their names.
Yep. So Hodgins, 105 yards, or
a couple big catches.
2 big catches and a touchdown, too. Eagles are well rested and healthy. That includes Hurts. The Eagles swept the Giants this season in the regular season matchups. But let's remember, folks, one thing that's really tough is to beat a team 3 times, especially when you're talking a division rival in football. Okay, these 2 teams, there will be nothing that either team has not seen from each other. So it's going to be a hard-fought game. They've got the Eagles here initially at -7.5, the over and under at 47.5. Patrick, what do you think?
Scooted up to half like every other favorite line did, so it's at 8 right now. Could even go up higher. Obviously coming off their bye week. Hurts needed it. Nobody's convinced on his shoulder. There's a lot of big question marks about it. Obviously, he's going to play. Even if he's hurt, he'll try to fight through it. Garnshaw Minshaw should be, there if they need him. He's not taking hits. I'm not sold his shoulder is healthy. He's going to play. It's playoffs. Everybody who can physically get on the field who is better than their backup will get out there, and he is that.
What's the line right now? You said it went by a half a point?
8 even, yeah. So 8 even. I'm taking.
Is the over-under changed at all? Is it still 47.5?
I can check that for you right now. I'm taking the Giants. That's a homer bet. You guys can go with that. I still love it. You get those in-game rivalries during the regular year, no matter who's good, and that's a lot of points. You do it in the playoffs. Danny's going to be facing a much different competition today. Let's get that right. He threw a lot, which he's not really accustomed to. You may see more of their old format. This may be an old NFC East matchup where you see a lot of running. Hurts may not be running as much because of that shoulder, so they'll try to keep him protected. Maybe some design runs that are safe, or handoffs to the running back, checkdowns, deep throws. If his throwing should still be fine. You got to realize they barely got past the Giants' third string, and they really wanted to win that game. So I have a lot of question marks, but that's me as a Philly fan. So let's hear a non-Philly fan. I'll get you the over.
Okay, unfortunately, I think this is where the Giants are done. I don't think they have enough to beat the Philadelphia. I will take Philly with the points, the minus points. I think they end up winning. I'm sorry about that, but
not going to hurt my feelings. I like when everybody goes against them. Over/unders still pretty much the same. I see 47 and a half, 48, 48 and a half. So again, you're going to get those little point twerks depending where you're betting on. But FanDuel 48 and a half. I think originally you had it at 47.
Okay. And we are at 48 minutes. Folks, if you're still watching, I really want to thank you for sticking around. We are going to wrap this up probably in the next 12 to 15 minutes, but we kind of go a little bit. We get excited, so we go a little long.
Well, let's talk about it. It's 4 weeks since we see you guys.
We try to keep it as close to 42 minutes as possible because that's really what you see on almost any show. All radio shows are 42 minutes. We're not doing any commercials. We're doing some very minimal ones for Brothers, and talk a little bit about Forever Green Farms. But let's move into the Sunday slate and the 1 o'clock game, Mountain Standard Time. 3 o'clock Eastern Time is the Bengals at the Bills. Remember, in Week 17, because of Hamlin, there was a no contest game, so we were kind of cheated out of that game. Although under the circumstances, I don't think they should have played the game well.
The weird thing that I saw was people who had the over/under on the Bengals, who had already hit the over on the season total for the wins, I should say, who had already hit it, weren't getting paid out in some of these casinos. That's mind-boggling to me.
Interesting.
I'll try to keep it short and sweet since we are on you guys on a precious time. I like Bills. It's 5.5. It's gone up to 6. I think the Bengals have been playing these tight inter-squad matchups. I don't think that they're scoring at a clip that we're accustomed to. Offensive line problems have kind of been there all year, and Burrow's done great with them. We got 3 who are questionable or out for them. So short and sweet, Josh Allen can't have that bad of a game twice in a row, my opinion. Just my opinion.
Right.
I'm going to take the points. This will be one of my favorite matchups this week. So 2 dogs to me on Saturday, first game on Sunday. I'm taking the 5.5. We'll call it 6 since it's moved.
So you're taking the Bills?
I'm taking the Bills.
Okay. And I'm taking the Bills as well. Exactly. Remember, Allen took 33 sacks. He had 14 interceptions and 4 fumbles. This game could come down to the turnover battle. So make sure you watch that as it's going along. Again, a lot of people are saying this game is going to end up, whoever has the ball last will win.
I see it differently. I think you're going to see a blowout. I don't think Josh Allen turns that ball over. He couldn't turn it over any more times than he did in the Dolphins.
Oh, no kidding. Do it. No kidding. No kidding.
That was supposed to be the blowout last week. I think you're going to see it this week.
Yeah.
Personal opinion, people in Cincy may be like, not so fast, and they could be right. No. But you got to make a stand, and this is why I'm making my stand.
Well, Cincinnati's tough, with Burrow and DeMar Chase. Know that Cincinnati has the 4th worst. Okay, there's only 4 teams worse than them as far as their rushing game goes. So you won't see a lot of mixing today or tomorrow. Look for a lot of quick, short passes. Burrow gets rid of the ball faster than almost any other quarterback in the NFL. So I think it's going to be a great game. I almost wish that the Bengals-Bills And the Cowboys 49ers, this was the AFC and NFC championship. I really do. I know you don't because you're a Giants fan. All right, let's move on in the interest of time here. Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 6:30 on the East Coast. Cowboys at 49ers. Cowboys 13-5, 49ers 14-4. San Francisco is the hottest team in the NFL. They have 11 straight winning game, or 11 game winning streak. The Cowboys were white hot versus the Bucks. So you have two teams coming together that are really firing on all cylinders. So we'll have to wait and see. It is a battle between the defensive coordinator Dan Quinn for the Cowboys and the offensive coordinator, head coach of the 49ers, Shanahan. They've been described as mad scientists with their schemes. So look for a lot of creativity and watch for that battle between those two very, very intelligent minds, football minds. McCarty, the Dallas coach, talks about Purdy. Remember Purdy, and we're not going to beat a dead horse. He is the rookie quarterback. He was Mr. Irrelevant, meaning he was the last pick, 262nd pick in the draft last year. He has won 5 straight games. 5 straight games.
All right, man. Let's just get down and dirty since we're on the time schedule as always. You got two good defenses, in my opinion. Dallas played like crap down the end on the defense, but that's also because of the turnover battle that Prescott had. Dallas defense, I still think is good. I think everybody knows the Niners are good on both sides of the ball. Question's going to come down to quarterbacks. Purdy, rookie, he will be shaken up eventually. May not be this game, but if they keep rolling, I mean, I'm rooting for him. I mean, I liked him at Iowa State.
Yeah.
So if he keeps rolling, good for him, man. More power to you. But to be a rookie in this league and the Reeds, Dallas and Dan Quinn got something planned up for him. The line to me, 3.5, from how people feel about the Niners to how people feel about the Cowboys was short. I think people were expecting more of the Bills, Cincy line that pushed up from 3.5 to 5. That hadn't happened. It's staying right there with America's team and money. It's going to come down to quarterbacks. Dak Prescott played like people thought he should be the Cowboy. That's what people think in Cowboy land, how he should play. Great game. If he cannot turn the ball over, they can run the ball, they can play defense. Niners are going to have their hands full.
Excellent.
If he turns the ball over or Purdy turns the ball over, then we got a whole different game. I think this would be a great in-game line. The line's up to 4, though, and to me, it is too many points. As much as I hate the Cowboys,
Right.
you know I hate the Cowboys. As much as I and a lot of people hate the Cowboys, I don't think the Bucs are a very good matchup, but they were a decent test to see if they were warmed up. And then we got to talk about Mahar a little bit. The bad kicking, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. It may not even come down to that. I'm taking +4.
Okay. I'm going to go, I'm definitely going to go with the 49ers. I think Purdy pulls it off. Now, in the interest of time, we're not going to go into the women's section today. We are going to talk about Angel Reese and her hand. She had a hold of a sneaker as she blocked a shot. She then stood over top of the girl and taunted her, ended up getting a technical. We'll talk a little bit about that next week. And then, of course, we're going to go into more detail of Olivia Dunn. She is the gymnast from LSU, and she is making 7 figures because of her Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter account. There's a lot of people out there that are a little jealous, one being the legendary Stanford coach, Tara Vanderveer. She states that it's a big step back for women. I don't understand how she can say that, only maybe out of jealousy, because the fact that Olivia Dunn is very easy on the eyes, a very talented young lady who has really become a marketing genius. She can't help that she's hot. She can't help that she's talented. She certainly can't help that she's fun to watch. We'll talk more about this next week. We're going to get in a little bit more about the NIL money. And right now, Olivia Dunn is the highest paid college athlete out of the NIL money. That beats all of the college football players. So some of you college football players out there, maybe you should take something from her and see a little bit how she's marketing herself.
If you want to watch a couple good stories, we'll try to get further in depth. We're trying to keep this show to a more relatable time frame. So as much as we want to talk to you guys for hours and hours and hours and see your face as well as our beautiful faces, we can't do it. NIL money is a big deal. There's 2 good articles out there. Outside the Lines did on both Olivia Dunn, who is the LSU gymnast, as well as the Miami of Florida football player, who is set to make like something like $12, $13 million. and they didn't even have the fund. They kind of bailed out of the fund. So if we can't give you the full in-depth outside the lines, you can catch on ESPN, their website. They have good information on both of those. And the NIL money is getting crazy to where these guys are getting paid more than backup. Like, so for the Miami, Florida kid,
we gotta wrap it up here.
they're getting paid more than some of the backup quarterbacks in there.
Well, folks, thank you very much. Come back and see us again. And remember, get out there and earn it this week. We'll be back next week. Thank you so much. Have a great week.